Mhm.
Right. It's not the same strategies, right? Someone who's just getting started cannot come into your thing where you're like, okay, we're going to take you from 6 figures to 7 figures. And this person's like, I'm trying to get to 5 figures, right? For the year, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we can look at that in business, we can look at it back in corporate. This person is, many times the person that the gatekeeper is kicking down is a few levels below them, or at least one level below them.
Right. Hey, I'm Teen Zekas.
And hey, I'm Ilika Follette. We are business owners and moms with corporate backgrounds, and we are all about getting Black women paid in both corporate and business.
And you're listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast.
Let's go.
Hello, welcome to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. I am Teen Zekas, your pivot and pay strategist, and here with me is my lovely co-host.
Hey, I'm Ilika Follette, your business strategist. I'm excited about today.
Oh my goodness. So today, even just to talk about how we got to this topic today, so often when I'm talking with clients about, some challenges they're having at work, something happened with my manager and they were, doing these things that was kind of sabotaging what I was trying to do, or, whatever it is. And then they'll add, and the worst part is it was another Black woman.
Yes.
And I need to tell you, I feel that in my bones, that betrayal, right? When it's another Black woman who's doing the stuff that the system of oppression, like perpetuating all of those systems. And so we are here today to talk about Black women gatekeepers and how to not be that woman, right? Don't be that Black woman.
Exactly. And when we're talking about it, because for those who are like, wait, Black women gatekeepers, what is that? Really, think about this, right? You have climbed to the top, right? You are now, and not even just all the way to the top, maybe you're the senior program manager at your firm. And now there's another young Black woman on her way up to the top. So what happens is many times, sadly, that woman at the senior program manager position has decided that there can only be one because she's been indoctrinated there can only be one. So instead of helping along the one other Black woman in the whole company and saying, come with me, let's do this, we got this, she's saying, nah, you can't take my role. And that's the Black woman gatekeeper. She's stopping you from getting to that next step.
Right.
So as we're saying it, I'm like heartbroken.
Yeah. Yes. It's that you are climbing the ladder, and while you're climbing, you're looking down and kicking down the person at the rung behind you. Right. And it's that, we are not in competition with each other. One of the things that I work with my clients is an abundance mindset. Right. And so part of that is about money, right? It's about expanding your view of what's possible and how much you can command in terms of a salary. But part of it is that there's an abundance of opportunities, right? A scarcity mindset is, we're all trying to get the same promotion, or there can only be one successful Black woman in this company and it's going to be me, or, the jobs are limited and we're in competition with each other, right? That's that scarcity mindset. An abundance mindset is there is enough for all of us to succeed. There's enough opportunity for all of us to succeed. And so when we collaborate and work together, we all rise up. Right. And that is the mindset that I'm hoping we can instill in our listeners and folks who are watching, that there's enough for everybody and it serves you to help others.
Exactly. Like here's the thing, because I think about this in many ways, right? A few things came up. One is, the concept in Hollywood that was happening. I remember I have a cousin who was like in different movies when we were, like a few years ago. And I remember just hearing some of the words that folks would talk about in those spaces. And it was like a known thing. It was one at a time.
Mm,
At one point it was Gabrielle Union. She was in all the movies.
right.
Nia Long, she was in all the movies.
Yeah. Let's get
And
the
so,
one Black woman
yes.
for
And then,
this for this
once
film.
once we decided we're done with Nia, we got another one that we're Zoe Saldana or whoever it is,
Mm-hmm.
now the
Mm-hmm.
new person. But we can't have Nia and Zoe at the same time. That is preposterous.
Right.
And so we've
Yeah.
kind of that is also leaned into corporate in so many ways,
Mm-hmm.
because there is that thought that, oh my goodness, I'm here. If I'm here, I'm moving in, I'm moving up, I'm on the fast path. If they see her, she's now going to be the one because they think there can only be one. And so
Right.
we're giving them all the power
Mm-hmm.
instead of deciding that, guess what? We can both do this.
Right.
There's
And
opportunities here. There's not just one job.
right. Right. And if you're viewing that person as a threat, then whether it's conscious or subconscious, you're going to be sabotaging them.
Yes.
And that is just, and so when I talk with people who are in situations where I'm like, the thing you're describing is someone is sabotaging you. And they're
Mhm.
like, and it's another Black woman. And for me, it's like, of all people, you should know better, right?
Right.
If you have faced what we face in the workplace, if you have had to
Mm.
change your hair and change how you dress and change how you talk and
Right.
prove
And
yourself and be the most certified and the most qualified and
exactly.
all those things, and
Like
then
we've
you turn
talked about in
around,
multiple episodes, the things that
right,
we've had to do. So go back and watch our other episodes where we talk about all the
right,
things that
right,
we've had to do as Black women. You've had
right.
to
And
do
if
it.
you
So
know
now
that
good.
experience and you know someone else is going through it, how are you going to turn around and then contribute to it? Like
Exactly.
that to me is just such an affront,
Mhm. Right.
to like, I mean, I don't want to get dramatic, but I the other day I did say this sentence, so I'll repeat it here, which is that there is a special place in hell for Black women who do not help other Black women.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is just, it's just unacceptable to me.
It
So,
is.
and we are talking about it a lot in the corporate context, but it's true for business as well.
Mhm.
If I'm a business owner
Yeah.
and I have a certain niche that I am serving, and I see another Black woman who's doing work in that same space, that person is not my competition. That person is a collaborator. We
Exactly.
we've had on the show, we had Deanna Jean, the collaboration queen, right? Like,
Right, queen. Right.
yes, yes, that person is someone you can partner with and you can share ideas and you can say, well, let's what can we do to collaborate and bring our audiences together, because there's some aspect of what you do that I don't do,
Mhm.
and I got you with your audience because there's some aspect of what you do that, or what you don't do that I do, and so
Right.
it's viewing, I never even, even when you're like doing market research and things, like I never view it as the competition. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, what's out there? What's unique about what I do?
Mhm.
And who can I reach out to be like, hey, actually, I really love what you're doing. How
Mhm.
can how can I, refer some people to you?
Exactly.
And then there's a reciprocal relationship there, right? Like the more that we view things as like there's a limited amount of people who are going to buy from me,
Yep.
and somebody else is
Mhm.
coming in and they're trying to take my clients, like that's not it. that's
Exactly.
that's some
'Cause
conspiracy
right.
nonsense, right? Nobody's in here plotting
Exactly.
to steal your clients.
Because likelihood is we don't even do the same things. You guys don't do the same things, or you don't do it in the same way. So the
Exactly.
results are going to be different. What they need is going to be different.
Mhm.
Maybe maybe you're a business coach, right? And you're working with people to with clients to get them from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month, right?
Mhm.
If a client comes to you and she's at $5,000 a month, it's great. Instead of sitting there like, well, I want to take every client. How about you have a collaborator that you can refer them to who
Right.
helps people get from 5 to 10? Because then guess what? Then she can be referring people back to you, you
Right.
know, versus
Right.
her trying to work with someone who's at $30,000 a month to take
Mhm.
them to 100, and she's at the spot of taking people from 5 to 10,
Right.
She
Right.
refers
Because
them to you.
right,
Mhm.
it's not the same strategies, right? Someone who's just getting started cannot come into your into your thing where you're like, okay, we're going to take you from 6 figures to 7 figures. And this person's like, I'm trying to get to 5 figures, right, for the year, right? Like,
exactly.
yeah.
So if we can look at that in business, we can look at it back in corporate. This person is, many times the person that the gatekeeper is kicking down is a few levels below them, or at least one level below them.
Right.
Why are you kicking down someone who's not, like, instead of saying, oh, I have a really great example for this, right? So I got to give it. I was watching The Office the other day. It's one of my favorite shows. I still watch the reruns. It's
Nice.
years old, right?
Nice.
Anybody who watches The Office, right? Michael is the boss, the manager of the paper company, and Jim is one of the salesmen. Mm-hmm. So Jim had an idea. He thought, because had just been a merge, and he thought, what if I go talk to the CFO about having Michael move to the regional, like, higher management position, and I move into Michael's role. And then that would allow us to continue to grow, and I would get a better role because he was ready. He was having kids and ready for more money.
Right.
And so here's what happened, though. Jim didn't tell Michael about it. So Michael had no clue. And so when the CFO, he saw Jim, the CFO, talking, the CFO went to talk to Michael and said, what do you think about Jim? Michael says, Jim is, he's got some issues. He's not quite ready to manage all of these things.
Because he's trying not to let him take his job.
Because he's afraid that Jim's going to take his job. Jim was never looking at his job. Jim was thinking, you should already be promoted. So I want to see if I can get you promoted,
right?
And then I get promoted.
And now he's shooting himself in the foot because he's like, well, if there's no succession plan for me, then you can't afford to promote me to something else.
Because what happened was Michael couldn't think outside of where he was currently. He couldn't even see himself moving forward to that next role. So all he saw was himself beating down the person that was coming next into his role. And it's the same thing, right? The Black woman gatekeeper, she can't see herself moving to the next level. So she's afraid that you're going to jump her or take her role, instead of thinking, what if I move and you're on my succession plan? Or what if I saw a role that is my counterpart and I think you're ready for it?
Right. Join me.
Join me. Exactly. We can do this together. Imagine having a collaborator, a colleague, someone at your level when you're usually the only Black woman in the room.
I can't even, like, to me that like gave me heart palpitations of just like the idea of being like, oh, I'm not alone anymore, right? Like, this person can be your ally. And well, it's interesting because, we're talking about abundance, right? There are opportunities, and it can be easy to think in a particular company, like, no, I see the jobs. There are 3 jobs, right? Like, that's the number. Right. We're competing for those jobs, right? But part of it is not knowing, right? We can create roles, right? We said, there could be a role that doesn't exist yet, and you can create that space for yourself.
That's exactly what Deanna was talking about
That's right. Right. You can create a role. Also, there's no reason you have to stay in your organization. So, like, when we're thinking about this limited, mindset of, there's only so many roles. Well, maybe it's, I'm going to mentor this person, and through that, I'm developing my leadership skills. And now when I'm ready and there is no role here, I can take the next step up at another organization, right? There are so many opportunities if we open ourselves to them. And so there's just no reason to be competing with each other.
It's so funny too, because even as you're saying this, I remember a situation where, and it was a former client of mine was telling me about this when she was in corporate. There was a Black woman that she was that she didn't report to, but the Black woman was like ahead of her in the role. She was like a trainer, and she trained people. So this woman kept trying to work with the Black woman, wanting her to mentor her or train her and things like that. She would not train her, but she would train this white guy who was there. So guess what happened? A year later, the white guy jumps past her and into a role higher.
The woman, the white man she trained.
Exactly. The white guy that she trained is now her boss, and she's sitting there still as a trainer. And the Black woman that was my client, she's now left the company, but she was still in her same role too, instead of training the other Black woman. She wouldn't train the, and the thing is, when she told me the story, I asked, I wonder how many young white men or white women came in that she trained that jumped past her, but she wouldn't train you. That's what I've seen happen as well. And that breaks my heart like no other.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you help another Black woman? I don't understand that.
Or even just all the people that come, right? Because it doesn't even have to be, right? Because she's training somebody. She just chose not to, like, why are you specifically sabotaging the one Black woman who could have been there with you?
Right.
Whew. So I don't want this to all just be a complaining session, because I could complain about this forever, but I want to leave us with, how do we not be that Black woman, right? How do we ensure that we are lifting as we climb, and that we are doing the work to lift us all up.
Yeah. And I would say one thing to lean into that is to notice, to be observant to your own actions and what you're doing when you see another Black woman come into your organization. If the woman is a role ahead of you, are you reaching out to connect, potentially looking for mentorship opportunities? If the Black woman is at a lower level, quote unquote, than you, right? Are you looking to be a mentor? Are you reaching out, connecting? Let's go to lunch, seeing where you can help. Or are you finding reasons and ways to judge? Oh, I can't believe she's wearing those earrings to work today. Like stuff like that, right? It's like, which role are you taking? Because the first step is observing where you are in that process. And then after observing, it's like, how can you step in as a teammate, a role as a teammate or a collaborator, or a way to bring another Black woman along? Because if we aren't doing it, who is?
Yes. And not just observing those things, noticing them, but then questioning, right? So if your first instinct is, I want to judge her about her hair or her earrings or whatever, question that, think about it, and think like, why is that my first thought? Why do I feel this animosity towards this person? And really try to do some internal work about that. And it's finding the opportunities to reach out to each other. If you are the only one, then it's finding larger communities. Maybe there's, the age of, we're in 2024, you can get online and find a community of people who are the only Black woman in that role in their organization, but you all can still get together, right? So it's finding each other, collaborating, mentoring, seeking to be mentored, and in business as well, right? Seeking out the people that you want to collaborate with, as opposed to viewing them as your competition.
Exactly. Yep. Lift as you climb, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So I think we can leave it there. So the conclusion is, do not be that Black woman gatekeeper, and instead lift as you climb.
Yes. I think we should do another episode around when you encounter that Black woman, what do you do?
Oh yes, the other side of things.
Yes, like what do you do when you see that gatekeeper who is creating a gate, a brick wall for you,
right?
Or a ceiling, creating that ceiling for you.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned, because hopefully we'll do that episode soon. But thank you all for joining us for another episode of Getting Black Women Paid. And again, if you've ever experienced this or been this woman, let us know. You can subscribe on YouTube, let us know in the comments, and we want to engage with you. And again, share this podcast with all of the Black women in your life, and we can continue getting Black women paid.
Yes. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. If you want to hear more episodes like this one, subscribe wherever you're listening now.
And if you loved what you heard, be sure to leave us a review. And make sure you share the podcast with incredible Black women in your life so we can continue getting Black women paid.
All right. We'll see you in the next one.